Okay, so as I said, I was going to do a build review for this kit as afterwards because of the fact that there was a lot of things that were going on while I was building this kit that caught me off guard or weren't working the way that I expected them to during the build. So go through that from bottom to top, and then to the back, and then the shield and the gun. And so starting here at the feet, there wasn't a whole lot here at the feet that had an issue. However, if you want to look at the articulation of the feet, they do articulate quite well, very well, in fact. And so that is one thing about real grids that I really do like a lot, is that the articulation is phenomenal. Like these are literally mini real master grades, and I would wager to some degree even perfect grades, and not like pseudo perfect grade at the real grid level. I wouldn't go as far to say they're perfect grade level, but they're pretty damn articulate and they're pretty damn detailed for as small of a kit as they are. So it looks really good here at the feet. Then we get up here in the legs, and the one point and one thing that you could probably tell is like right here, these two pieces, the kneecap, these things will fall off as you're manipulating the legs in any way. So that they do when you start bending these knees, they start to fall off or they start to pop off. And I haven't done it yet, but I will put these on plastic cement if I could find it. I just go to the local Hobby Lobby and pick up, this. It seemed to work on a few of the other stuff that I've done, so I would recommend just going to get this. It was like $3-4 for this total, and a little bit goes a long way, so this will last you a long time. So I recommend putting that here, behind here, on the somewhere right in there, in these little grooves, and then just put it back on. I wouldn't use a lot because then you're going to have it seep into the rest of the kit and you might lock up a lot of the joints. So you don't want to use a lot, just a little bit. And you want to use like probably the tip of like one of these paint sticks to kind of get it in there a little bit and just make sure that it stays and applies. As far as the articulation goes, like I said in my other video, the articulation is really good. It is a really good set of articulation with this kit. You can go side to side, so it probably could do the full splits. Yep. Front, and even back if you lift up this piece here, and then all the way back. You'd have to watch out. This little piece is all by itself, so it does have a tendency to pop out. Again, that's probably one piece you may want to consider putting some cement on, but I would highly advise against it because that whole joint piece right there is one piece outside of here, and so it might lock that up. You don't see a lot of separation here unless you were to really do the bend, and then you'll start seeing some separation here of the parts, but it's not as heavy as you would see like in the RX-72 version 1, something like the Charles Aznavour Zaku 2, and maybe the Exia and a few others. As pointed out, coming to the back side, when we come to these little piping right here, this piping tends to come out. So if you need to fix it, just get a paint stick and just kind of push it back in there, because as you pose, that stuff will come out. And when you cut it, it flares or frays, so it's going to look pretty nasty at the end. You could probably put some cement in there. I wouldn't recommend it. Cement on cloth tends to harden it real bad and it doesn't really stick to anything, so you'd probably be just doing yourself an injustice there. So I would just leave it alone and just be careful about how you pose it and just stuff it back in there when you're done, or if you repose it or whatever. So going upwards, we'll go here at the waist and torso, and you can see that as we put this together, you don't get a lot of side to side movement here, you just get a lot of up and down movement. That allows for the legs to kind of go up forward and backwards with a full array of movement, which is real nice. There's some panel lining here. I did do panel lining before I shot this video, so I wanted to go and show that you can get some detail here. I didn't do any kind of painting like I did on the Sandrock, and the reason being is that I wanted to go ahead. I don't really do so much of that on the real grades. I might have done it on the Force Impulse Spec 2, but I didn't feel it was necessary on this kit. I kind of like this kit as it was, so or yeah, as it is, and so I'm going to go ahead and just sticker it. Maybe clear coat this so the stickers stay on, and the panel lining stays on, and that's probably all I'll end up doing. Moving upwards, yeah, moving upwards, because we don't have to, I mean, that's all you get, so no real need to go into that. Moving upwards, you get the cockpit piece here. This does open. Of course, there's no pilot in there, so there's, I mean, you're just looking at an empty cavity. There is a little bit of panel lining here. I didn't do anything with that yet with the gallery pens. I probably will after the fact. The one thing that does irritate me about this piece and this piece is that it is only put together by this small little peg right here. And it is tiny, tiny, tiny. It does fit pretty well, but you need to be careful when you manipulate this thing. It will fall apart. It will fall apart. And this piece right here, it doesn't really stick to anything. It just fits there. So when you put it back together, it's just a loose fitting piece. Now, with that said, you do not get any bend up here at the front. You get some bend leaning backwards, but not a lot. Just a little bit. But there's not a whole lot here to really go into at the chest piece of the body piece. Moving up into the head piece or the head unit, you get a little bit of front and back. You don't get any side to side, not really, because you've got this, I forget the name of it, but you got this little head piece attached to it. So you don't get a lot of side to side movement, nor front and back movement. Well, slightly, but not a lot. Not something you would see. You would see probably more movement in some of the newer real grades. You do get some decent panel lining. It is covered by some of this, but you see it here and here. You get some decent panel lining. Nothing too crazy or detailed, but that's okay. What you do get is a nice detailed face, and it does stand out pretty well, as you can tell. It's pretty nice. Now moving on to the arms, you get a pretty full array of movement here. The one thing I like about this kit the most, and absolutely the most, is that this whole frame comes on the B sprue or the B runner, and you put the whole frame together. So the arm is not a bunch of different pieces, like 2 or 3 pieces. The legs are not 2 or 3 pieces. They're all one piece with all the joints included. And then the torso, of course, is a couple of pieces, but it ties in pretty nicely here. And so moving forward, or moving on, you get some pretty decent articulation. One thing I want to point out with this is, unlike most real grades where you have, especially like the RX-72, where you have a joint that pops into place, this doesn't do that, so you have no risk of this falling out. Especially here at the shoulder unit, I think they got a little bit wiser on this around this time, perhaps. So this kind of fits in like that. It won't do that because of this piece right here. So you got to go ahead and spin it around. Oop, see? There's a tendency to just kind of pop off. So you want to put that back on like that. And you can spin it this way. That's the way it needs to go. There you go. There. I was starting to lose it a little bit. So you put this back on. Well, seems like it doesn't want to play nice here. So I'll go ahead and put that back on here in a minute. It is a pretty tight joint. Just keep that in mind. It is a very, very tight joint. So I don't want to sit there and mess it up. But you do get some spinning here at this. You do get some spinning here and no, not there. But you do get a nice bend here at the elbow. So you get a lot of articulation there. And of course, it doesn't come with a lot of hands. It only comes with, I think, this separated hand, and then this hand to hold the beam rifle in place, and then both are like closed fist hands, and that's really it that it comes with. So you don't get a lot of hand options outside of like the fully articulated hands. I do not recommend putting that on any real grade. They're not slotted. They're pretty terrible. They fall to pieces. They open up all the damn time. I would just avoid those in general. They're just not worth it. And then moving to the back, as you can see, I did some panel lining here and here. But these pieces, in the other video, you knew that these pieces are falling off. So I took this stuff right there, put a little bit in the holes at the bottom, just with the tip here, and just kind of worked it around inside, so they stuck. So now they are permanent in place. They will not fall off unless they're forced off. I would highly recommend cementing those, because those will be a pain in the ass and they will constantly fall off and you're going to end up losing them. So cement them on the first chance you get and just leave them there. They don't need to be positioned. This is a ground unit, so it's not going to be like, you're not going to be posing these, even though you can articulate these a little bit. It's not necessary. It's not like you're going to be sitting there posing this like the engines that you see on the back of a tall geese or real grid or something like that. This is a ground unit, a lot like Sandrock, so you're not going to do a lot of posing with these thrusters. And then outside of that, you've got these pieces right here that hold these tubes in place and hold the beam saber handles. You can put them on both sides if you want to. I put them on this side. It seemed to make more sense, especially since there's a peg right here that holds these in place. And you don't have to worry so much about this coming out at all. There's a limited movement, limited range here, so it does look pretty good. It wasn't that difficult comparative to here to put together, but since this is cloth and then a wire that goes in there, just be careful putting it together, because it does tend to slip out as you're putting it in there, but it's not overly difficult. And that's basically the kit. Overall, it's a good kit. It does stand on its own. It doesn't have a problem with a lot of pieces falling off. I mean, outside what you've seen here, but that's my own doing. So, but with typical manipulation and articulation, not a lot of things fall off except for the kneecaps right here and what was those thrusters, but now they're stuck on there permanently. They'll never come off. There is another piece here, and if you use this piece, this is for the bazooka, putting it on the back here, much like you would see on the RX 782. I would recommend, heavily recommend, to just leave this piece off. It goes right here, but what I found is it doesn't stick very well, and the slightest bit of movement, it just falls off. And it's supposed to kind of fit right in here. My fingers are big, and kind of like sit right up here on the torso, and then kind of latch in place here. The only problem is the only real point of connections are here and here. If there's good lighting there, I'm not sure. Get it closer if we can. There's like a slight lifted piece or raised piece here and a raised piece right there, and it's just slots in place, but it's so prone to fall out. I would not recommend putting it in there and leaving it there at all. It's terrible. As you can see, I didn't put any of the beam sabers together. I'm not going to actually do beam sabers on this one. I'm going to use the beam cannon or beam rifle instead. I actually like this. How it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces total to put this together. It wasn't too bad. The hand was 3 pieces, and it looks pretty good whenever you're posing it. So you can do a lot of different poses with this, and I prefer this, since this is a ground unit. It doesn't have any special weapons outside of the beam saber, just to kind of go with this and use the beam cannon or beam rifle instead. I think it looks better. I think it poses better with this and makes more sense for this particular kit. That's just my opinion. Yours could differ. And then the shield. The shield is a couple of pieces. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, 8 pieces, and it goes pretty. Stacks together pretty nicely. I didn't put any stickers on this kit yet, and because it would just take a lot of time. So I'm going to do that over the next day or so. But what I can tell you is when this will get stacked with stickers, it will look real nice. It will stand out a lot more and have a lot more detail, so that I cannot wait to start doing that. But overall, the detail in the shield is pretty nice. It does slide in and slide out, and that's because of this little mechanism right here. You kind of saw that with the RX-782 1.0. With the shield, it had this piece right here that could slide up and down, but it as one whole shield. But this is a separate piece, and this mechanism is actually quite nice. For most of my posing, it's going to be out. That's just the way I prefer it. So, with some of those things stated with this kit, I would recommend building this kit, but I would build it with caution just due to the fact that some of these pieces do fall off. I wouldn't, if I had to rank this by a star system, and I haven't done a ranking system yet, and perhaps I probably should. I'd probably rank this about a 3.5, low 4-star kit. With some of the stuff that I've had to deal with and gluing together, it is a pretty solid kit overall. It does stand on its own. It poses really well. It doesn't have a whole lot of bend here, so you can't do any crazy stuff as you're seeing with the RX-782 2.0 or some of the newer Real Grade kits or some of the newer Master Grade kits. But for a number 8 kit in the lineup of Real Grade, it is better than what you see in some of the other earlier stuff like the Char Aznavour, Zaku 2, the RX-782 version 1, and some of those earlier ones. I would even wager bet that it's a better poser and more solid than the Justice and Strike Freedom Real Grade. I've got those in my backlog. I will build them, and I'll probably throw them against the wall because I've heard that they're irritating to deal with. So we'll see how those go. So anyway, that's the last piece. I wanted to go over the sticker sheet. You can tell I didn't use anything over here. Used a couple here just for the eyes and for the camera systems. I will probably put some of this stuff on. I don't typically put a lot of these shiny stickers on. Usually because one, I've forgotten over the past couple of times I've built these things. And two, I usually wait to see what's actually exposed before applying stickers. And then of course here's all the other stuff you put on with the body parts. So that's what I'm going to do here. You only get the one sheet. That's it, the one sheet. You don't get anything else. No water decals, no dry decals, just stickers. So it's all on one sheet. Overall though, it's a good kit. I recommend buying it. Take your time with it. Pace yourself with it. I started on Wednesday and I finished this morning Saturday to kind of make sure everything was done correctly. It was also pretty cathartic, so that way when I got off work I was able to go ahead and have something to do and kind of decompress from the day. So it was nice to start doing that. And I think moving forward, that's what I'm going to end up doing is working on a build throughout the week and then have a lot of the content ready to go Saturday afternoon and do some editing and get the full video out on Sundays, and then have the build review come out a couple of days after that. So that's kind of the schedule I'm going to start sticking to. And I'm also going to start doing some live videos, and I'm going to do that starting today, January 25th, probably later this evening, as I apply some of these stickers and start doing some YouTube live. So look forward to all that. I got plenty of stuff to come. I got a lot of kits to build and a lot of kits I want to get to build for y'all. I've also got that contest going, so go ahead and make sure you subscribe and keep an eye on that, because once we hit that 500, like I said, there's that prize at the end of it. So go ahead and like and subscribe, turn notifications on, whatever you got to do. I'm also on Threads and Instagram, so follow me there because I do post a lot of photos there and a lot of questions and wants, especially like the Messer FO1 clear coat or the clear kit that just got announced the other day. So I'm waiting for that to hit the States on P Bandai so I can order that, because that looks really good. And speaking of that, I think that high grade Messer is the next kit I'll build for the next build video. So look out for that. Although I might get the G-Works, I think it's called the G-Works, I can't remember, water decals and get those ordered, since I can find those on New Type and probably have them here by the weekend. So we'll see. That really depends. Otherwise, I'll build. There's another real or high grade I've been wanting to build. So I'll announce that in the next 2 days or so. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this was informative, and I'll see y'all next time.